Hi, Servus und Grüß euch. My name is Jana and this is episode 4 of Jana's Vision Season 1. For this week's video, I'll re-edit some footage I shot in 2018 when I was in Geneva. The video itself is actually quite good. I really like the flow of the edit, and keeping in mind that it was the first video I ever shot, the framing of the shots is actually quite good as well. I think I just shot everything and then back home I found some music and just edited to the music. My music choice is questionable to say the least. I mean, I do kind of understand the thought process behind it. It's a Sam Colder type of music, which was like the only way to go back then. I wouldn't choose it again, but I think for the sake of the video I'll actually keep the song and work around it. But the real problem are the colors. The thing is that I edited on my super old laptop that kept crashing every 5 minutes, and the color accuracy is pretty much non-existent. So if I fix that, I think it's actually gonna be a pretty good video. So what I really like about the original version is the transitions. I remember that I spent so much time figuring out which way the edit flows best. Of course the slow motion is a bit laggy because I think I slowed it down to around 30%, but the maximum I should slow it down is 36% roughly. In the new version I think the slowest I went was 50%, but I added a lot more shots and more rapid transitions. Also, the color grading is obviously way off in the original version because I edited it on my old laptop, which has no color accuracy at all. I don't have sound design on either of the videos because on the new version I just ran out of time, and the old one I didn't do that yet. The music choice, well, I mean, it's a very repetitive music, which is why I wouldn't choose it again today, but I got used to it and I think it actually fits the video quite well. The framing of the shots is actually pretty good, keeping in mind that I just got that camera and it was the first video footage I got not using a GoPro. Right, so I have now exported a side-by-side comparison, which we're gonna watch together. I'll comment on some changes I made and why I added or left out certain shots. Alright, so obviously the opening scene is different. I also went for 3 different shots of the skateboarding and I changed up the order of those 2 shots. Now we're same again. The pacing is a bit slower on the new edit, but pretty much it's the same. You see it flows better. Now it's moving way quicker because I did rapid transitions. Also, I actually cut the music differently, which is why we're way off here. But you can see I added some shots in the new version. but the basic essence is the same. Then I decided to leave out the statues here and I went directly to the United Nations shots. And I also added 2 BMX shots and I only focused on one of the statues. The transitions are pretty much the same, we're just a bit behind because I added a whole new segment to the new version of it because I didn't like the ending. But now we're back at it with like roughly the same shots from the diving, and instead of the whack ending that's coming now, I went for the sunset. And I actually couldn't believe that I left the sunset shots out. Yeah, so I cut the music to be equally long, but because I left out the intro and the outro, it's a bit shorter now. But the music is the same length, it's just cut at a different point. It was actually quite interesting for me to see that many of the decisions I had to make concerning the transitions or something like that, I would do it exactly the same way again. I would change up the pacing, I would change up the music definitely, but all in all, I'm actually quite pleased with how that first edit turned out. I mean, keep in mind, the first original version took me about a month to edit and this one 4 or 5 hours, so I can see how much I actually improved. I mean, obviously I had the kind of pre-made template, I just had to follow the guides of the old video. Editing footage is definitely something I'd consider to do again in the future, because it just taught me so much about my creative process and how I edit and how my style changed over the years. So now that you've seen a side-by-side comparison and you've heard my thoughts on it, I'll show you the new version with music. So if you liked this week's video, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. Everything helps. Thank you so much and see you next week.
Ja, stimmt, gleich auf mehr. I've never backflipped anything this high. Hold up, I'm gonna front it first. I just know how high it is.